flooded the yard, the vacant lot next to us.
Flooded it.
Was for ice skating.
Oh.
He'd let water
Yeah,
run
they
out
had their
there.
own ice skating rink right outside the door.
Ah, that's cool.
We changed clothes down in the basement or changed skates, and we could walk right outside. And when we had a lot of snow, they would build a bank around it, you know, with the snow. And then after Christmas, they would take the Christmas trees that they were throwing, and we'd stick them in the snow, so we had like all Christmas trees around it, skating. And part of the skating thing, the boys could play hockey, but the last part they couldn't because we wanted to skate there. And I remember my first skates, Loretta, it was right after my dad died. And Ed and Loretta were going together, and they bought me my first skates for
White ice skates.
white ice skates, figure skates,
Yeah.
for Christmas. But that's all I got was the ice skates, nothing else.
And then one year, Dad brought home, we were all small then,
Yeah.
younger. He brought home, he sold Christmas trees on Michigan Avenue. And he sold, there was Al Jolson, something about Al
Oh,
Jolson
I don't
there,
remember that.
or bought a tree or something, and they thought he was poor looking, so I guess he said he had a bunch of kids. And they sent boxes of toys. Remember, we washed the dolls for the girls, and then we had one pair of spring jumping skates. They had like a bed spring on the thing. But we had 15 minutes each kid. Well, by the time you got them on, it was off. You had to give 10, but you just jumped. Do you
Yeah,
remember
they would
that?
jump
Yeah.
about this
Never heard of
high,
that before.
Yeah.
and they jumped.
Oh,
You
there
know.
were a lot of different toys.
Well, we had a shared toys. We only had one bicycle, and then you took turns with it. But we got to play things. We had to imagine things,
Yeah,
you know.
imagine, we used to cut out dolls, you know, out of paper.
They used to have paper
Me
dolls
too.
in the paper.
And then we'd go to Wacus, and I think it was a nickel a square for embroidery. Do you remember
Yeah.
Wacus on
Yeah.
43rd?
But we'd sit on the porch and do these things after school. The spool, you know, where you
Oh.
put the nails on it and you
Oh yeah,
go over.
I remember doing that.
Mhm.
We did
Yeah, we did
that,
that.
and
Because
then
it came
make a
down
little-
through the spool.
Yeah, and then you made a
Mhm,
little
it was a
round
tube,
pot,
right.
pot
Yeah.
holder or pot hot
Uh-huh.
pan.
I thought we picked that up in school. So you show us how to do that?
I think so.
Yeah, because you had little nails. You had four
Yeah.
little nails.
Yeah, I'd put the
And you-
nails in.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
go around
Yeah.
and around.
And the neatest one I remember when it had that multicolored string.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the
That was
variegated.
really
Rags, it was like, what's a rag?
Variegated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you bought it in the bag. Remember by the multicolor? It was like black and
What was variegated yarn? like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember ours being on a spool or something that came out
Yeah, it
from
was
the middle.
Yeah.
a big spool
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you had to
But
have enough room.
they had like it yellow, purple, blue, red,
Yeah.
and oh, that was neat. I remember
Yeah.
doing that.
And then I played baseball with the boys. I was a tomboy. And they'd go by and they'd say, "Hi, Vi, Violet, can Vi come out to play?"
Well, Jimmy Van, she had a boyfriend that would come, and he'd stand, Vi, oh Vi, and then, but later on, she met him.
I
Yeah.
met him after, not too many years ago. I don't know where I was where I met him. And he asked if I would go out to lunch, and I said, sure. Well, then one day we went to lunch, and then one day he said, I have a wedding to go to, would you go with me? And I said, yeah. You know, he was altogether different than when I had, you know, in high school.
Yeah.
He used to come from grammar school, he'd walk to our house at lunchtime and walk me back to school, you know. And, but he asked me to go to a wedding, and I said, sure. So he came out and picked me up. Well, the wedding lasts till, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and he brought me home, and he said, you live out here, there's no lights or anything. And that was the last I heard from him.
I didn't invite him in.
Maybe he's afraid of lions and tigers
he
and
just thought I
bears.
was really out in the country, no lights. He said, do you come home like this? I said, well, yeah, this is my life. What do you don't sit inside?
Dad, you must have been in your 70s when
Oh, it had to be because he just died after we went to see that people on Fairfield.
Oh, Winslow.
Winslow.
Oh,
We went over and he lived right across from them.
Yeah.
But he was dead when we went.
He was dead when we.
You,
You didn't kill him, huh?
Oh, we did. Yeah.
Well, I met Bill when I was 14 years old. I went to a Valentine's party, and they had hearts with the name on, and he changed mine from Arnie Adam was supposed to be my partner, and he switched it, you know. Well, we were 14 years old, you know what I mean? And then one night, I was at a party there, and I was supposed to be home by 10, and my mother and dad walked over there and got me at 10 o'clock.
When we went to high school, we used to go to a dance on Friday night. And every Friday night they had a dance. And we would go, Jane and Loretta and I don't think Freddie went.
I think they still have dances once in a while or something, because it seems to me like, excuse me, Bud and I went to a dance there.
Well, they had reunions too. Yeah, you could have. They probably still have them. But we'd come home. We had to be home right after the dance was over. Well, the three of us went together, so we came home together.
Come home from the dance the night before Dad died.
Yeah, because he came up and he
Yeah.
talked to us,
Gave us a
and he
quarter,
was so
didn't he?
friendly. I don't remember, but
Jacqueline was with us. I think that your relation.
no, I don't think she was there when he died.
Or Rose Kajava or whatever
Yeah, one
the
of
name of her.
But we came home from the dance, and he was real friendly and jovial and kidded around, and then we all went to bed. We went upstairs and they went to bed, and then the next morning we heard my mother open the kitchen window and holler to my grandma that Fred had fallen in the bathroom.
Oh my.
And so we all jumped up, you know. Well, he was up against the door, so they couldn't push the door open. Well, then my mother called the doctor. They came over, Auntie and Uncle Emil,
They put him in that hall.
and they pulled him.
And then the
you know.
fireman came to
Yeah.
see if he was dead. They put the match, you know, by his eye. I can see
And I
all
can
that.
remember going outside.
Put a match by his eyes.
Well, to see if he was alive, they put a match, and if he didn't blink or something, they knew he was dead. I remember him
Yeah.
laying on the floor, and
What if he's just unconscious? You burn his eye?
well, they could burn him to death. But I remember running outside in the snow.
Without shoes
Shoes
on,
on.
waiting for the doctor to come. Please hurry, doctor, please hurry. And then he was waked in the house.
And we had, what about the rug? Remember the rug? We always said, we got a...
I just remember the.
So how old were you?
I was 15.
I was 19.
Well, how old was Dad?
What?
How old was my dad?
No,
Oh, he was
Grandpa.
younger.
I know, but how old was my dad when
Oh, your
Bob
dad
was
died?
10.
Bob was
Bud
10,
must
so
have
Buddy
been
must have been
13,
12.
12.
12, weren't there 2 years
Because
apart?
Bob was 10 and I was 19.
There's only a year between Chuck and him and Bud.
And Loretta
But-
got married right after that because Uncle
Well, they
Emil
were
gave
supposed
her
to
back-
get married.
that June.
Yeah,
And he
and they
died in
pushed it
December.
off.
Who was that?
Loretta.
Oh.
Loretta.
But she was married in June, wasn't she, on the 21st?
20,
Of the
21st
following year.
So how did you guys, after he died, how Grandma get her income?
Well, my dad had the ice shop and glass windows and coal. And he used to sell coal for 3 baskets for $1.
And 5 baskets of wood. We had to put those laths in there. They used to have plaster, you
Yeah.
know, the walls with
Uh-huh,
the
and-
well, that wood, he would get a load of that. We have to break it up and put it on a wagon.
And he used to sell that, and then if he'd go someplace to deliver it and they couldn't afford it, he would just give them the coal or give them the wood. So when he died, then my mother had a book
Yeah.
with all these people that owed, but she
Nobody
never
came but the
collected
one
anything,
man,
yeah.
Remember came?
And then Freddie had the shop, but he was a teenager. teenager and not, you know,
He
and
wasn't old
didn't
enough
wanna-
to take the
didn't want to do all that work.
Yeah.
So eventually it was closed. And it was at 40.
But what did she live on?
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I worked
my-
in the
Jane
I
worked, you
and
gave your, we
Loretta
gave our
worked.
mother our
Okay.
whole paycheck.
We gave
Yeah,
I
that's what
worked-
everybody did at that
Well, I
time.
remember, later on, that
Loretta,
when Grandma was sick, everybody, all
Yeah.
the family,
pitched
Put it-
in.
pitched in.
well,
money.
Loretta, I think.
but I didn't know
worked-
how she got her money.
Loretta
till
worked
then.
at the
We
laundry,
worked-
didn't
I worked,
she? Loretta worked at the
Well, she
laundry,
worked at Campbell's Soup
Campbell
first,
Soup,
and
and
then
then
at the laundry.
laundry.
And I worked at just the dime store.
And I worked at the
Woolworths.
dime store in Chelsea
got-
and Birch.
I don't think there
Cookie
was any Social Security then.
No.
That's what I think
Yeah,
he's
that's
thinking
what I'm trying
about.
to figure out.
Oh,
How
no.
did how did she
Yeah.
No, it
manage?
was just our money, but if we wanted a dress or we wanted shoes,
Right.
then Mom would give us
But
the money,
mailings
but our
and
whole check
shoes.
was.
Oh, you all gave your whole check to her. Oh,
And I worked at the
I never
dime
thought
store.
about that with you.
what?
Getting your whole
Whole
check.
check.
Take it now.
I used to pay you $20 a week,
You did.
or $20 a pay, or something like that. Yeah, when I lived there before I went to service.
I don't remember it. So.
But you made me lunch and stuff, so it was.
Well,
pretty-
we could have any, our food, and we cleaned. I can remember this Jimmy band coming over. I'd go roller skating on Sunday afternoon with a couple of the kids on the block. I'd come home, and then Jimmy would call and say, do you want to go to the show, or I'm coming over. Well, you washed up the floor, you cleaned the house, then you put newspaper on the floor, on the wet floor, so it wouldn't get dirty.
I never did
What was
that.
the print of the paper?
My mother never
Didn't make
thought of that.
sense.
Black and white. At one time, we had, what did we have, a water fight or something that time when Dad made us each do so many squares of that black and
With
white.
a toothbrush, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
Bud told me
Pat
something
does that
with a story like that with a toothbrush.
Yeah, that's Pat, my neighbor, washes her pier with a toothbrush.
Well, we used to have to clean and straighten up, before you had company, And one time we used to go to the picnics when we were in Teedville. And we'd walk the railroad track to the picnics. And, Betty and my cousin and I, we would take hollyhock flowers and put them in our hair. We'd get all gussied up to go to these picnics. Well, I met a fella at the picnic one time, and he was from Chicago. Roosevelt Road and California or something.
Well, I know where that is.
He was
yeah.
from that area. And
That
I
wasn't
came
very
home and I
far
told
from
my
me.
mother that he was coming, when I go home, he was coming to visit me, and she said, I don't know. And then she said, well, I'll tell you what, this was if you brought somebody in and she didn't like them, you had to stay there. What was that?
My phone.
Oh, and if she thought he was all right, then she'd say, well, what time are you going to the show? Then you knew he was all right, you could go to the show. And this fella came over and he had a hat on and he was all gussied up, But I went with him for a while, but he was from out there and we were in Chicago though. But that was our rule. If she didn't like him, then you had to stay home. And if not, you could. She would just say, are you going to the show? Or
Yeah,
not?
so
Then
you knew that it
could
was.
come. So,
And then I dated Buddy Teed. Remember in Teedville? I
Yeah.
dated him. He had a convertible. And Grandma, and I had to be home at like say 9 o'clock, but he could stay till 10 or 11. So we had the swing out there, and we'd sit on the swing, and Grandma'd be.
If the swing stopped swinging and
Yeah.
speaking, then she went and looked, I'll bet.
Anyway, so then Bill liked me before that. So he came out with some guys, and they had beer, and my dad threw them off the property. No Bill, because they had beer. So I couldn't go with anybody that drank. So then
And guess what? You married him.
he'd come out and Grandma, he'd say, "Where's Jane?" "Oh, she's with Buddy on the swing." Then he'd get so disgusted, he said he'd drive home. He said, "I was ready to kill Buddy. I didn't know Buddy." But my dad didn't like Bill at all, because the first time he had beer, and, well, Grandma Grube, all the relations said, "Don't marry him. He's an alcoholic. Don't marry him." And I remember that so much. And, but he turned out good. I mean, he did drink, but then he stopped, you know. I mean, he went to AA, and then he stopped. But he
Mennonite.
Now you comfortable with me turning this thing on?
Huh?
What?
Are you comfortable with me turning this on?
I thought it was on all this time.
No.
No, he was good.
He didn't
with
have the
me.
picture. He's just got the voice, I think.
Oh.
Okay.
And
Now go ahead.
but they used to come out and rent